Hello guys, so today I'm gonna concentrate on functions in Java. Let's start. So before we start, we all know that we always have the main function. So the main function is the function that always gets code whenever we run the program. So if you want to create a function other than the main function, you need to create it outside the main function, then you call it inside the main function. So I'm going to demonstrate how you can go about creating a function. Okay, so for now let's start from zero. I will comment out all these things. Let me comment them all out. So function, so let's start with this. So when you're creating a function, it needs always to have a data type. That is, it's either void, integer, string, or what, and it needs to have a name and what it works on or what it receives. So the data type here, data type is like it's like the type it does it void. In this case we have void. What void means, it means that it doesn't return anything, but we're going to have situations where we're going to return, maybe at the end of it all we'll return a number, or maybe you return a string, or you can return any other data type. So in this case, like I said, you have a data type, you have the name. Here in this case we've called it add numbers. Then our function receives two numbers and it adds them. So whenever we want to add two numbers, we can do it manually, or we can just call this function, put those two numbers in it, and it adds them for us. So let's try to call this function add numbers. Let's call it in the main. So you need to type it in the main. Since I already typed it, I'll just uncomment it. So I have now here, I also uncomment this because that's where I put them. So let me uncomment this. So I have two integers with me, number one and number two. And now if I want to add these numbers that I have stored in number one and number two, instead of adding them manually, I can just call this function add numbers. And this this add numbers, it will I'll put these two numbers to the function and the function will add them for me. So what will happen is, when the main function gets called, it will find this. So this is a function. So it will call this function, and what will happen is these two numbers, they'll pass them here and they will be added and they'll be printed out, because this is what we've put inside here, that it should add them and then print them out to the console. So if I'll add, let's see what will happen if we run the program. You've seen is printing out 92 as the output. So everything is working as we intended, or as we expected. So let's create another function. Let's call it print age. So if you check here, our function takes two parameters. In this case, we are creating a function that takes only one parameter. It takes only one number. This int age, it means to your function you pass a number. If you pass in there anything other than a number, it will give you an error. So whenever you call this function, you need to put in a number, just like you defined your function. Here you are defining how your function works and what it accepts, what it works on. So in this case, it works on an integer and it prints out your age, bro, is in. It mentions the age. So let's try to call this in the main. So you need to type this in the main function. So once again, the main function starts from here. You have the main here, public static void main. So now inside the curly brackets, this is the function, like that. This is the main function. So in the main function, that's why you call your function. So the function, since me I already typed it, I'll just uncomment it, but you need to type it. And if you practice with me, it's better so that you improve on your skills. So we've called print age inside the main function. So this print age, what will happen is we said it should receive a number. So we give it a number like that. If we run, it will print your age, bro, is 12. Let me bring something to attention here. So let me try to do this. Okay, let me do this for now. Let me try to do this. So here, okay, we run the program. We say the program is giving us 12. This 92 is for the first function here that is adding the two numbers. So okay, let's remove it so that we concentrate on the printed function. Now look, if I remove this 12 here, it will give me an error. Why? Because when we defined the printed function, we said it should receive something, a number. So if you don't give anything to it, it will give you an error. To avoid that error, you need to give it a number, or you create another function that takes in no number. So for example, if you create another function, let's say, okay, give me some time. Okay, let me just undo this. Yeah, okay, so now let's, what's happening again? Just a minute, give me some time. Let me just remove this. Okay, I had to undo. I want to create now a function that receives no parameter called printage, because I want to demonstrate something here. So for example, let me just copy this and I'll paste it here. And then what I'll do is I'll remove that. It should take it doesn't take in anything, it doesn't have any parameter. And here let's say your age is unknown, for example. So here now we have a function that doesn't take in any parameter and it prints out that. So here we have no error. Why? Because if you remove this 12, you have no error. Why? Because there's still another function called printage that doesn't take in anything. I hope that is clear. If there are any questions, you can hit me up in the comment section. I'll answer real quick. And we have again another one here, print something. So it works similarly to the printage, it doesn't take in anything. Okay, now here let's have a function that receives a string and prints it out the console. So we've created a data type, we've named it void, we've given it a name, print sum, and it receives a string. It can be a name or anything, a string. And what happens, the string, it gets printed out the console. So let's see here, if I'll come here on print something, so you can give it anything, any name. For example, in my case, I have given it that name. So okay, let me try to, if I comment out these ones for now, if I'm to run the program, this string will be printed out on the console. So it has printed out the string that we expected. Now let's try to understand what, in all these cases we've been using void, but now let's have an int. So what this means is that our function returns an output as an integer, as the number as an integer. It can return a string, an integer, or it can, or any other data type, or it can, or it won't return anything at all, which is void. So whenever you use the return, you need to have a data type. You can't return something that is void. So you've seen already it's giving an error. Why? Because Here you've stated void, but yet here you are using return. So something void is something that doesn't return anything at all. But you need to understand something here. If you use void, it doesn't mean that it can't print out something to the console. No, it can print out something, but it doesn't return anything. It can't go, you can't use it with return. So for example, here I have my number code increase number, and this number, it receives a number, and on that number you add 5 to it. You can do anything with the return. You can actually return just the number itself, just like that. The number gets returned, or you can do anything to it. You can divide it, or you can do anything you want. But in my case, it returns that number plus another number. I can even say plus 5, plus 4, plus anything, just for demonstration purposes. So I will come here, for example, let's say I will declare an integer called number, and there I can just say that integer, I will assign it increase number 5. What will happen is this function will get code, and this 5 here that I've put, they'll add to each 4. Why? Because I said this function increase number should do add 4 to it. So in this case, it's 9 that will be stored in this number. So if I'll call the system print out the number, it will be 9 that will be printed out to the console. So like that. So I'll say I'll run. You've seen there from my case is printing out 9 as you can see everything as expected. So I want to bring again something to your attention. So let me try to remove, for example, here, let me try to remove the static. If I remove the static, I've moved the static, it's just void numbers. You can see the adding number. If you do it like this, there's an error. If you go on the error, let's read together. The saying cannot make a static reference to the non-static method add number. So what's actually happening here is this add number, since it is not static, it can't be in the static void main, because our main method is static, and so inside the static method you can't put a function that is non-static. I don't hope it's clear. There are more about static methods, we'll discuss them independently soon. So you need to have the static here, and that when you have that static, that error there that we had has gone, and if you run the program, everything is running smoothly and you have an output there. So this is all for today. We're still together. We'll come up with other videos so that we help each other grow, just like I said. And please make sure that you share my video with others also, so that the channel grows. And if there are any questions, just like I have said, you can easily ask in the comment section. And please make sure that you share also with other people the video and the links to the channel, so that they subscribe. Please guys, thanks for support. I will appreciate if you do so.